Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today we are going to kick back, relax, and make some fun watercolor patches that are retro holiday inspired. So grab a cup of tea, coffee, cocoa, whatever floats your boat, and let's get started. First, let's take a look at the materials you'll need. Today I'm using Master's Touch watercolor paper, and it's 8 by 8 inch, which is a good size for the size of patches we're doing. It's also 140 pound, which is a good weight for the amount of water. I've taped down the paper with some washi tape, always handy so that the paper doesn't curl. For brushes today, I'm using this number 12 filbert brush, and it's great for laying down those initial patches that we're going to put in place, and then a number 6 round brush, which will be good for our watercolor detailing. For palette today, I'm using this really cute Scribble Lady palette. They sell out really quickly. I put a link to some of the watercolor samples in the description. But you don't need this palette. You just need green, pink, red, yellow, and brown watercolors in your palette. That would be helpful anyway if you're going to follow along. And finally, for our doodling portion, I've got some paint markers here. I have a couple of metallics, a gold and a silver, as well as a couple of glittery paint markers, so light blue and light pink. And those are really great for the retro palette. And of course, as always, got some water and a paper towel. And if you forget any of that, you can always check the description for the list of materials as well as product links if you're interested. All right, let's start by laying down some pink and green patches, and I'm going to go 3 patches across and 3 patches down. And I'm going to alternate pink and green, starting with this pink glittery paint marker. So I'll draw a really thick arch in the top left corner of the paper. I'll grab my filbert brush, wet it a little bit, and then draw that color downward about a third of the way down the paper. Once I've smoothed out that patch, I'm going to clean my brush off and load it with water and make a patch next to it about the same size. Then I'm going to grab some green and add the green to the top of that wet patch area and draw the color down, just like we did before, except with green watercolor. And I'll continue to add patches, alternating pink and green until I have 9 patches on my paper. All right, and while I'm applying the rest of these patches and you're following along, I wanted to briefly talk about the retro-inspired aesthetic that we're working with today. So when I want to call back to another era in a piece that I'm doing, the first place that I go to is typically the color palette. And for these particular doodles, I wanted to call back to old-fashioned holidays. So I started looking at Christmas cards and holiday advertisements that were out prior to 1980. And what struck me when I was looking through those were the beautifully delicate, soft colors that were so often used. And the 3 main colors that stuck out to me were rosy pink, pistachio green, and baby blue. And so I definitely have incorporated those colors into this design. You know, the patches are obviously the shimmery pink and green, and then there will be some, shimmery baby blue detailing in the doodles that we're going to do. But on top of that, I also noticed when I watch old Christmas movies, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. Let me know in the comments. But does anyone else notice how everything is just covered in inordinate amounts of tinsel? It's just gobs and gobs of tinsel everywhere. So obviously I needed to include the metallics as well. It definitely has its place. Okay, now that my patches are done and dry to the touch, I'm taking my number 6 round brush and I'm going to lay down some watercolor foundation for the designs. And of course, you can fill your patches with anything you like. Personally, I like to play around with an idea, so I'm going to do variations on a single idea in each row. So for the first row, I'm going to do ornaments. The second row, I'll do sweet treats. And the third row, I'm going to do Christmas trees. Now, I'm not going to go over how I make each individual doodle that I'm going to put on the paper today, but what I will share with you is how I'm going to try to go about creating that retro vibe that we've been talking about. So like I said, the watercolor layer that I'm doing right now is going to be the foundation for each design. Now, to be reminiscent of that old holiday aesthetic, I turn to my second source of inspiration, which is shape. Generally, I noticed that the shapes tended to be simple, soft, and rounded, probably to evoke that childlike magic that you feel at Christmas. So, those are the kinds of shapes that I'm going to be laying down. Now, if you're kind of at a loss of what to fill your own patches with, you can absolutely copy what I'm doing. That's totally cool. Or if you want to do your own thing, but are pretty new at this watercolor stuff or just not quite sure where to start, I think ornaments are a really great option. You can do simple shapes like the ones I did in the first two patches, or Christmas trees are great. You can kind of do like rounded off triangles. And I do Christmas trees all in the bottom row, so you can look there for some inspiration. But just play with it, have fun, and experiment. And with that, I'm going to let the music take over, and I'll check in with you again once we're ready to do some doodling. And we're back. I hope you were able to create some fun foundational shapes for your designs. And I ended up leaving one of the patches open because I wanted to try to make a Christmas tree using the pointillist technique. So basically, I'm just making a Christmas tree out of dots. So I've taken my silver paint marker and made the silhouette out of dots, and I'm filling it in with some silver dots. So I've got my foundation. Now I'm going to make a big dot at the top for our tree topper, and I'll add a few more gold dots in there, being careful not to expand on the silhouette too much. And then I'll follow that up with pink and blue. And it's a really fun, simple way to make a Christmas tree. So if you have a patch open still, I invite you to go ahead and try it. This technique actually segues perfectly into discussing the third element of inspiration for our retro watercolor patches today, and that's detail. When looking at the types of details in old-fashioned holiday art, I found that while the details were pretty simple, they were also very delicate and often irregular, which made them look kind of whimsical. So that's the formula I'm going to use when I'm applying details to these little designs here. Some ideas you could use on your own designs and that you'll see in mine are squiggly lines, delicate snowflakes, various sized polka dots, various sized Christmas bulbs, gumdrop buttons. You could do little hearts, you can do little tiny stars, you can do squiggly, delicate garlands on trees. Basically anything wintry that you can think of, try to make it simple but delicate, and a little irregularity will give it that whimsical charm, which I think really captures that retro holiday vibe. And I'm going to turn it back over to the music again so you can get your groove on and detail to your heart's content. All right, it looks like this retro holiday watercolor patch is nearly complete. While I'm finishing up the final details, I just want to say thanks for joining me today. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Or if you have any feedback, ideas, inspiration you want to share, go ahead and leave a comment. I love to read through your comments. They totally make my day. And that's a wrap. I hope you had just as much fun creating these cute retro holiday doodles as I did. As always, thanks so much for creating with me today. Until next time, take care.